Hello, everybody. This is Bobby. Welcome back to Your Father's Story. Book. Supposed to write a book for boys so they could read after I die. No write in book. Now make videos about book. So let's see what we can get into today. Oh, here's a good one to start out with. What were your hobbies when you were younger? What did you enjoy? I had a lot of hobbies, actually. Well, I mean, it's going to shock you to realize that wrestling was a hobby of mine. Both with action figures and with other people. We did a lot of that in the backyard, on porches, on wherever we could wrestle. We had a good time doing that. But yeah, aside from that, I've talked about baseball being a major thing that we did every day in my backyard. We played baseball and games associated with baseball. We played Army in the Woods. Played with action figures a lot. I had a lot of toys. But getting away from that, I like to read. I read a lot when I was a kid. I had comic books. I had regular books. I had all kinds of books. Yes, I did play video games. Had the old Atari when I was younger. I just heard Aiden yelp from upstairs. So yeah, there was the Atari, and then there was the Nintendo, and then there was the Sega Genesis. So yeah, there was that going on. Trying to think of other things, but nothing really stands out. When it came to playing with action figures, I really enjoyed doing that. I mean, I enjoyed doing it in my room, but I also enjoyed doing it like outside. It felt like more in the world, playing outside in the yard. I don't know. It's just a different vibe, I guess. It was a different like impact. I was a He-Man fan. I was a Thundercats fan. I had Superman figures too, and I had all kinds of. I had like a giant toy box worth of stuff, just all kinds of crap. I liked to draw when I was younger. I'm not that good at drawing anymore. Coloring, I did a lot of that too. That's pretty much all I can think of right now. Yeah, all the basic things that we did when we were kids. Ride bikes. I think I talked a lot about dangerous bike jumps that we did without helmets. I talked about that before. Same thing we did with sledding in the wintertime when, we had the hill in the backyard, but we built giant jumps, and we'd ice down the track too. We bring out hot water out there and just completely ice it down. Way more fun. So yeah, I think when it comes to hobbies, I think that basically sums it up. I can't really think of anything else that stands out as far as that goes. What are 3 things all new dads should know? That's a good one. That is a good one. No matter how many kids you have, they will never be the same. So forget about any instruction manuals or anything like that. They don't exist, and if they do, they're useless. They're completely useless. However you parented one child will not be the same way you parent the next child. It's just a completely different world sometimes. So that's one. I would also say that if you don't think that it's your job to do certain things, it probably is your job to do certain things. I mean, parenting is, parenting the right way is a 2-person job. And, if you, I know it sounds gross. I know it's a big deal, whatever, but if you don't think that you should be changing diapers, you need to change those frickin' diapers. Just get in there and do it. It's not as bad as you think it is. And if you think it is, just remember you're going to be washing your hands after, so it's not going to matter in the long run. What would I do for number 3? What would I say for number 3? I probably would have had better answers if I had time to think about it. But this is obviously off the cuff, and nothing's really coming to mind right now. But I don't know. Being scared is natural. I think that's a good one. That's a good one. Being scared is natural. The baby is not as fragile as you think it is. Babies are tough, and they can handle more than you think they can. I still would not suggest shaking it. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. But yeah, it's definitely natural to be scared, but everything will be all right. All you have to do is be there and do your job. That's what it comes down to. You hold up your end of the bargain, and everything's going to be fine. I guess that's really what it boils down to. And if I had to pick a number 4, just don't plan on getting any sleep. It's just not going to happen. So just prepare yourself for that. Everything will be fine. So, hopefully you'll have a good partner who will share the load with you and allow you to get sleep when you're able to get sleep. I will say Kate and I did do good trade-offs on that with Aiden. It was very fair. And Christian's mom too. I should honestly say that, even though I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, I had a very fair and even time with both boys, and it helps out a great deal. So I guess that's all I really have to say about that. How did you encourage me when I needed it? Same way I encourage you now. Basically, I just sit down and have a pep talk with you. I sat down and had a pep talk with you, and I tried to be as honest with you guys as possible, but I tried to be as encouraging as possible too. And I'm a big believer in positive reinforcement, and I know that always worked really well for me. Like, I needed that positive reinforcement. I needed to hear, and still do in a lot of ways, that I'm doing a good job, or that I'm appreciated, or I don't need to hear it all the time, but I do need to hear it occasionally. And I think it's important for other people to hear that too, and you guys especially. I think it's important for you guys, especially when you accomplish something that's outside of your normal to do whatever. I think it's important to let you guys know that I appreciate it, and that you're doing a good job, or that I'm proud of you, or that I think all that stuff is very, very important. So I think I said important probably 10 times in that last sentence. But I do think it's I think people need to hear that, and I think that, well, some people need to hear that. Other people don't care. But for the people that do need to hear it, I think it's necessary to reinforce that, and I think it's necessary to do it whenever you can, So I'm kind of drifting away from the question, but the point is, I really didn't do it any differently than I do now. And I thought it was extra important to do it when you were younger, because, I think that's how you establish that kind of thing. Of course, now when I trying to encourage you guys now, you guys are just like, shut up, Dad, no one cares. So that's the difference between now and then. Although it probably wasn't that much different. But yeah, I think I just dropped my pen. I think that's the baseline answer to that, is that I didn't really do it any differently than I do now. So, it is what it is. What is the most important lesson you learned about people? Everybody is an asshole. Had to steal the "everything is awesome" thing from Lori. I mean, I've told you guys this. This isn't really a secret. One of my favorite things to tell people, because obviously racism has become a big, topic of conversation between us, and how much we're all against it and things like that. And I always say that the thing I learned over the course of time, and really, like, I said I grew up in a neighborhood of mostly, Caucasian people. And actually, I was the odd one out because I was Asian and I was different. And so I experienced a little bit of that, but not really a whole lot. But the thing that I learned about people is that assholes come in all shapes, sizes, colors, religious persuasions. They just come from everywhere. It does not matter, what they look like, what color the skin is, or anything like that. That's what I've learned about people. I have learned that people are mostly good, or most people are good. Let me say that. Not people are mostly good. Most people are good. You just don't hear about the good people really enough. And I learned that like a long time ago, but I think it's like clear in my job too. I obviously I deal with people every day, and the way you interact with them, you can learn a lot about them just in those few sentences. And some people are, you greet them, and you ask them if they need anything else, and you can tell by how they respond or how they don't respond. And lately I've been getting a lot of like non-responses. Sometimes I'll turn to my coworkers and be like, what is with everyone just not saying anything? Like I freaking hate that shit. So yeah, I think that, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, as they say. So when people are loud and obnoxious and just overall terrible, they tend to get a lot of attention. So you hear about that a lot. You don't always hear about the good people of the world, which is why I used to do the Happy News Stories series. Maybe I'll bring that back. Now the channel's getting a little more traction. Maybe I'll hit the Happy News Stories beat again, and we'll see how that goes. Because I did enjoy doing that, and I think that it's cool to... There's just not enough good news stories, of good people and good things happening and things like that. All you ever hear about is sadness and depression and nonsense. That's why I don't pay attention to the news a lot, because I'm depressed enough as it is. I don't need any more depression. But yeah, the thing I've learned about people is that, most of them are actually good. I think it's just the bad people are just more noticeable, and it can color the way the world is, but you shouldn't let it discourage you that much. Everyone is inherently selfish, to a certain degree, but you have to really, obviously you can't do it with everybody, but you have to kind of analyze, I guess, as much as possible to which degrees some people are selfish, and kind of decide for yourself if you consider that an acceptable amount of selfish. I'm telling you to judge people, I guess, in a way, which isn't really right. But, the point is, you can kind of tell how good or bad someone is by how much of themselves that they give to other people. So, and if someone, really doesn't give much of themselves to people at all, then, there may be a reason for that. But it could also be that they're just assholes, and, you know, they just don't do that. So, you know. So I guess at the end of the day, that's what I've learned most about people, is that, you know, like I said, I've probably gone over this 3-4 times already, but most people are good. It's just, you shouldn't let the few bad ones color your whole version of the world. I think that's the most important message I could probably give out in that regard in this particular question. What do you say? We have one more and then we get out of here? Let's see what we got here. If you could have met anyone famous at any point, who would it have been and why? Anyone famous at any point. Oh boy. That's tough. That's actually really tough. There's a lot of candidates. Oh boy. I have to be careful with who I choose too, considering the audience right now. And I don't mean, you know, my regular YouTube audience. I mean Kate and the boys. Kate is a history buff, and if I pick the wrong historical figure, she's going to tell me I'm wrong, even though I can choose whomever I want, and there's no way to actually be wrong. Wow, if I could meet anybody in history. Should I just say Achilles and be done with it? Although there's some debate as to whether he's actually a historical figure. He's a mythological figure. So that probably doesn't count. I probably would have liked to have met Lincoln. I think Abraham Lincoln is always a solid choice to meet someone historical. And Honest Abe, I don't think there's too many presidents in history who you can look at and they were called honest, you know? So I think he's a worthy candidate. I think he's someone that, you know, I probably would have liked to have gone back in time. This isn't a question I've really thought about a lot. So it's not like I have that one choice that, you know, I could really point to and say, I want to meet that person. There isn't even really any famous people in the world right now that I'd like to meet and just sit down and talk with. It's just not something I'd like to do. You know what, though? Muhammad Ali. I would have liked to have met Ali and had a conversation with him. Because Ali, I think, is a historical figure worthy of the praise that he gets. And there's some people that say that, you know, he was a puppet of Islam or whatever. That may be true, you know, to a certain degree. I'm not going to sit here and dispute it. I think he was in a lot of ways. But he also chose. You know, he chose to do the things that he did. And, you know, what he did shaped a lot of different things in U.S. history. So I think that, you know, Ali is an extremely important figure in U.S. history. And he's definitely someone I would have liked to have had a conversation with and just pick his brain a little bit about what he was thinking about certain things. And although he was never really quiet about what he thought about certain things, he definitely would let you know, and was very famous for that. But yeah, I think Ali is a solid choice. I think Abraham Lincoln is a solid choice. Theodore Roosevelt, I think, is a solid choice. I'm just, other than Ali, I'm just stuck on presidents, I guess. Neil Armstrong, it'd be cool to get what his view is of being on the moon. You know, that's a cool thought, I think. That must be an amazing thing to stand on a foreign body that's not Earth and just stare into space. Like, that's got to be incredible, to be honest with you. Something I do think about a lot. I had a fascination with space when I was younger, too. So that's definitely a cool thing. Let's see if I can come up with one more. One more person in history that I would have liked to have met and had a conversation with. Hmm. Hmm. See if I can come up with a woman from history that I would have liked to have talked with. Hmm. Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. I can't even remember what she did. She's just the first name that comes to mind. But I know that she has kind of a fascinating story. Actually, there's another one. Oh, shit. Who is the character of Mina from the Dragonlance series based on that Kate hates so much? Uh, that one's interesting too, I think. Shit. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Was it Charlemagne? I don't know. I can't remember. But I do love Mina in those books. So that's an interesting thought, I think. But, I mean, if I want to go back to the fight against racism and all that, Rosa Parks would be a fascinating person to talk to, I think. So yeah, I guess those are some choices. I'm sorry they weren't better choices, but questions like that I need to really think about. I need to really think about and dive into history before I, come up with some really good answers. But those are some answers off the cuff. I'm glad I came up with Ali, though. Ali is definitely one of my favorite people in all of history, and I think I definitely would have liked to have met him. So that's I think a good solid choice in my book. And there you have it. Episode 8 of Your Father's Story is in the books. It's been a long time coming. I've been working so freaking much and I'm so tired. But I actually just got done recording an episode of Elden Ring, and I was going to record a second episode, and I was like, I gotta crank that. I gotta do Your Father's Story. You know what I've been doing? I am fascinated with the YouTube AI. It's called Studio, and you can have it summarize episodes, and you can have it summarize the performance of episodes. Because I was initially summarizing the performance of certain episodes, like the analytics and things like that, but then I accidentally started doing summarize the episode, which just gives you a storyline of the episode, which is also fascinating to see what the YouTube AI thinks about that. So I had done a whole bunch of like the Elden Ring episodes and the Soulsborne Battle of the Death episodes, and then I started doing Your Father's Story, and I was like, I really gotta do another one of these, because the YouTube, I may do a video just showing you guys what the YouTube AI says, because I think it's just amazing, honestly. And I am not the biggest fan of AI. I'm really not. But using it in this context, I think, is fascinating and very useful. I'm not a fan of AI video. AI video is fucking terrible, and I hate it. It does not look real. And I'm coming across a million videos, not as much anymore, but now that I said that, it's probably going to happen a lot more. But a million videos of wrestling videos of people being thrown off like the Hell in a Cell through tables and through the floor and just all this nonsense. It's not real, but it looks awful. It looks real, but it looks awful. And the crowd is just like, and it's just creepy. It's all creepy, and I hate that stuff. But the use of AI and things like YouTube and on Google and things like that, I don't have a problem as much with that. I think it's very useful and sometimes fascinating too, to see what the AI thinks and says. And actually, Grok on Twitter is actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty smart AI right there. So I don't have much of a problem with that either. But I went off on a tangent. Anyway, we're going to the outro. Leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that stuff. You can go to robertblanchardbooks.com and check out the award-winning Roar of the Dragon series. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter, all Bobby's Roll 2110. Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask Run, Volume 2, Learning of the Lakes. I'm not sure exactly when this video is going to come out, but I am nearing Raya Lucaria Academy. So I'm getting to the end of Learning of the Lakes. So we're closing in on that. We're coming to the climax of Volume 2 is what I'm actually getting at. So it's going to be fun times. So you're going to want to definitely check that out. Back in the archives, I have the Dark Souls Remastered No Essus run. I have the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask run, Volume 1, Limgrave. I have the Sekiro No Healing Gourd run. I have the Dark Souls 3 No Essus run and the Dark Souls 3 No Level Up run. So check those out if you are interested. Bobby's World Hunger Games, very popular series on the channel. Me and my friends in a Hunger Games simulator. It's a series we all look forward to, and hilarity often ensues. So go check that out if you are interested. Obviously, Your Father's Story videos, what you're watching right now. I don't really have to explain too much of what that is because you just watched it. Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Soulsborne Battle to the Death, where I pick 2 random Soulsborne bosses, and I pit them against each other, and then I do bios, and then I decide who I think would win. Then you leave your opinions in the comments. So that's what that's all about. Wednesdays, or not Wednesdays, I'm sorry. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Bobby's Gaming Lounge, which is my weekly live stream where I play games, and you come in the chat, and we hang out and just have a grand old time. I've been doing Resident Evil Village, so that's been what's been going on lately. That's just the fun time. I had so much fun in Resident Evil 7. Christian and his friends wanted me to go straight into Resident Evil Village. I talked to them into letting me break it up a little bit and do a couple things in between. So we're finally in the village, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's been very cool. So thank you all so much. I appreciate the love and support. The constant growth of the channel has been awesome, and yeah, it continues to grow, and it's just been amazing to watch. And I've talked a lot about the hard work I've put into my full-time job and then this job, and it's just been insane, but it's been worth it. So yeah, thank you guys for that. That's all I really have to say. I love you guys, and I very much appreciate it. I hope everyone has an amazing week. Be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it. See you for live, y'all. Bye.
Hey, boss.
Yes, Courtney.
Mrs. Anderson called. She wanted to order several copies of your books for family and friends.
Oh, that's amazing. Get some ordered, have them sent over to me, and I will sign them for her. I really appreciate it if you could do that for me.
I didn't know you were an author.
You did. Courtney, you've been with me for like 2 years now, and we've talked about it fairly constantly, and there's an ad at the end of every one of these videos.
Well, that doesn't mean that I listen to everything you tell me. Are the books any good?
Well, readersfavorite.com said that its intensity rivals that of the Game of Thrones series. I know, that's pretty crazy, but that's exactly what it says. It's on the Cry of a Raven review. Go check it out.
Well, that's pretty cool. What are the books about?
It's about a soldier who gets exiled for saving a baby dragon, and later he's killed, and he wakes up 3,000 years later with strange powers, and he's watched over by the very same dragon, and the world has been overrun by evil, and he now must travel back in time to stop the evil that started in his own home country.
Wow, that sounds interesting. How can I get copies of the books?
Well, you can go to robertblanchardbooks.com and order your copies there. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. And if you want to hear more about them, you can listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast.
You have a podcast too?
You know what, Courtney? You are doing such an amazing job that I think you are due for a raise. How does that sound?
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Thank you, boss.
You bet. Too bad the raise is going to be when I raise a water balloon over her head and just... Maybe I'll wait until her mom calls. I think she'll find that pretty funny. Go to robertblanchardbooks.com right now and get your copies of the series that got 3 5-star reviews from readersfavorite.com, 3 Author Shout Recommended Reads Awards, and 2 Literary Titan Silver Awards. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free, read more reviews, short stories, and much more. And if you want to hear more about them, you can listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts.